What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel where we're talking all things I Am Kelphaba. This is my brand new book available on Amazon in softcover, hardcover. You can grab the link in my bio. But we're going to be going through every single chapter in this book where I'm sharing new insights, new information, stuff that I did not write in this book. So you can grab a copy and follow along. In our last video, I gave you some behind the scenes information about why I wrote this book. This book is all about my 15-year journey in vocational ministry. I talk about how I've overcome insecurity. I talk about leadership. I talk about marriage. I talk about parenting. I talk about all sorts of things. And we're going to be going chapter to chapter so I can give you some more behind the scenes info and insight into my story. And as a reminder, I'm green because there is definitely some wicked inspired language and metaphors. Elphaba's story arc mimics a lot of my own story arc. Musical theater is very, very important to me. Speaking of which, let's jump into the preface of this book. This is my author copy, which is why there's this do not resell gray bar across. This is actually the copy that I have where I made all my notes and edits to go back through and update the version that is now available to you. But I want to walk through first and foremost the preface of this book where I really start and I talk about my first time truly experiencing what it felt like to be on stage in musical theater. So I grew up on musical theater. My mom introduced me to musical theater, Guys and Dolls, Oklahoma, Sound of Music, all of the classics. My favorite was Annie. I had a vinyl record of Annie. I would come home and I would pop that vinyl record on our record player, and I loved listening to vinyl, and I specifically loved listening to Annie. So in third grade, I was 8 years old. They sent me home with a flyer about this community theater that was doing a performance of Annie. I brought it home to my mom. She said, yeah, I can get tickets. I said, no, it's not for tickets. I actually want to be in this show. I had done some church productions before that, so I liked the stage. I liked performance. And so she said, okay, cool, let's sign you up. My mom gets me signed up, and I'm in this performance of Annie. We go to rehearsals and things nearby. This particular community theater group would hire adults as the professionals that would play the main roles in the show. And so as a kid, I got to be one of the orphans in this performance of Annie. And we actually did our final performances at this theater house in Orange County. It's the La Mirada Theater. They do a lot of incredible performances there. I grew up in SoCal, and so it was really cool to be able to perform on a stage like that. And even to this day, as an adult, I've taken my daughter back to La Mirada Theater, and we've seen some incredible performances. And I'm like, I was on that stage. I performed there. But I started getting this taste of musical theater, the rehearsals and the practices. I loved to dance. I started dance when I was about 3 years old. I loved singing. I loved performing. But I talk about in this preface this moment where I walk out on stage. And I don't know if it's a fever dream or what it is, but I have this very, very vivid memory where I'm decked out in my costume, a costume that my mom made for me, a costume made of muslin fabric that we dropped in a vat of tea to make it brown and kind of dirty looking. And I walk out on the stage. And I don't know if you've ever done a performance, the moment where you walk out on stage in the actual performance and the space is filled with the audience, every seat is full. But the lights are so bright and they're so warm, all you can really make out in the audience are silhouettes of people. But I remember this moment so vividly where I walked out and just this sense washed over me that I went, oh my goodness, I am hooked. I need to do this. I need to be on stage. And so from that moment throughout the rest of my years up until my mid-20s, did a lot of musical theater. I did lots of shows in college with that particular community theater group. I was part of another theater group, but I loved performing on stage. But I think what's really, really interesting is, as I mentioned, this thread of insecurity started pretty early on in my life. But what I recognized is anytime I could be in a costume, anytime I could play a character, anytime I could embody somebody other than myself, I had this interesting thread of confidence that did not exist anywhere else in my life. And I think that's a really, really interesting setup to the rest of this story where, yes, I love musical theater. Yes, I love this idea of costume and light and makeup and embodying a different character. But it was also a really interesting foundational aspect of my struggle with insecurity. And really my struggle with insecurity was all about any time I had to be me, it rattled me. And it's so funny to look back over my life to see all the moments that I did perform on stage and I got to be a character. I have done Comic-Con several times where I would cosplay as different characters. I love making costumes. It's something that I really, really enjoy. And again, there's this confidence that exudes from me when I'm in character that doesn't translate when I'm just me. And so I think about times I've had to public speak or lead a meeting and I'm Kelly. Something about that freaks me out, but you slap a hat on me or some green face paint or give me an accent to do, and I'm not great at accents, but there's a confidence that happens that just doesn't happen in other places in my life. And so, yeah, in this preface, I just talk about my love for musical theater and how this book is specifically born from that love. The last line in this chapter says, so whether you're a fellow theater kid, a ministry leader, a recovering perfectionist, or a tired mom holding it all together, I hope this story helps you feel a little less alone and a little more unlimited. This book is 3 acts, acts 1, 2, and 3. It's broken into 15 chapters, which are actually 5 scenes in every single act. So next video, we're going to jump into act 1. It's called What Is This Feeling? And we're really going to get into this idea of where my insecurity started and what the beginning of this journey is all about. Thanks so much for joining. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single video. Grab your copy of I Am Kelphaba on Amazon, and we'll see you guys next time.